most of us know him just as a comedian or an all-around funny guy. And I'm very proud and lucky to know him as all four of those things. So Roger's CV is really long and will be on the website for you to review. And so tonight I wanted to spend more time on telling you all about what Roger means to me and his leadership. The very first time I met Roger, he was in a colleague's office, and he was introduced to me as the former and founding dean of the College of Professional Studies. And he was going to come to our program, and he was going to teach a class on higher education innovation to our graduate students. And so I was a newly minted doctoral student, and I thought I knew everything about what it means to study higher ed and innovation and technology and leadership and different ways to come to graduation and organize our studies with us. And here comes Roger walking in. I'm like, this guy is going to teach us about innovation. And boy, was I wrong. Roger turned out to be the most creative, positive, and visionary faculty member that I came to know through that. And while he was no fountain of youth at that time, he was a certainly a fountain of ideas. And those ideas were really good. So as you know, as much as I love Roger, our students love Roger just as much. And they love taking his classes, and they love working with him on dissertations. And over that time, he's developed quite the reputation as someone who tells stories in class and really connects the curriculum to real-world events and how things happen in higher education administration. And one cohort, he's developed several nicknames as a result of that, out of love. One cohort is just convinced that he is a cohort undercover special operations agent in the CIA, and that's where all of his stories from these international travels and negotiations with Eastern European countries and things like that come from. And it's probably for the same reason that another group of our graduate students lovingly refer to him as, do you remember the commercial for the Dos Equis beer commercials? With the gentleman in the corner smoking the cigar and drinking a beer, as the most interesting man in the world. And I share that same admiration with both his career and his life experiences and how impressive they are. There's currently about 196 documented countries in the world, and I've personally heard stories from Roger for about half of those countries. And he's a great storyteller, and each one is grand and full of details and larger than life and even better than the last one. And then usually he might start drinking, and they get a little bit bigger and a little bit grander, a little bit more hard to believe. The game hasn't started yet. So I've heard a few of these stories, and I thought I would share them with you. So I've heard stories about his time opening the American College of Sofia in Bulgaria, where he was interacting with government officials there in that country, and a lot of those negotiations required large sums of cash that he would lock in his office and do things of that nature with. His time with the Peace Corps in Ethiopia with him and his wife Susan, where they lived in a small village and they had a donkey or a mule that was their main source of transportation in that area. There was a canoe trip that he was taking in Southeast Asia, where he was on a river and they weren't sure, the English wasn't available, and he wasn't sure exactly where they were going, but the tour guide was giving him lots of interesting perspectives on small communities and didn't know if he was going to get home. And then there was something about dancing in an opium field. In some other country, and of course those stories are always good to listen to. So I'll certainly miss those stories, and hope that him and Susan will be able to continue those travels and check off more countries from that list as they continue to do so. I know both of their children will be in Europe this fall, and so hopefully that, with their work, and so hopefully that will serve as a good home base for them as they're seeing their children and their grandchildren, and continue to use that as a home base as they're traveling through that. Interesting enough, I'd asked Roger if he could possibly teach a class for us this fall semester, because we needed someone to teach the course he normally teaches in leadership and higher education. And it'd be a good opportunity for me to come back as an adjunct or to co-teach and train an emerging teacher. And he thought about it for a little bit, but he turned me down, saying that he would rather be on a beach somewhere or have the opportunity to not be held to the university schedule. So I hope that they are able to do that. Next, I want to talk about Roger's leadership and generosity. His leadership, if I had to summarize it, are in threefold. And so he's very articulate and very good at challenging the narrative of commonly held assumptions, especially when it's coming up to solutions to old problems or age-old problems that we have in higher education. And just has a true gift to be able to see new possible solutions and how they might implement it. A second thing I want to mention is his passion to serve underserved students and really recognizing the value of what education will do to open doors for those students in their life. And then finally, his ability to speak up for those without a voice. And I've had the opportunity to watch his leadership in action during our time together for the past 7 years. And his innate ability, especially in a department meeting or a faculty meeting where there's a conversation going on, he will come up with the most impressive, articulate, impassioned speech to change everyone's opinion and have all faculty voting in a different direction than they otherwise would know. And so either this is a really good BS factor that he has, but it's really good and he uses it to his ability for that. I'm always grateful for that advice and his ability to pick up the phone call when I call in the evening or on the weekends, as I frequently do when I'm dealing with a particularly difficult administrative dilemma or a decision that's due for the next time. And he's always there to offer that consultation, and also good with career advice, as I know many in this room he's also benefited from that as well. The best piece of advice Roger gave to me, and it wasn't something he necessarily said, it was something that I certainly learned from him. Is higher education administrators were often governed by policies that rule our particular work and shape the way we interact with others and students. And sometimes that can become tiresome and burdensome and rigid in those particular ways. And so Roger has a really nice ability to be able to understand those policies and take in new information and come to an equitable application of those things, so that it makes our work meaningful and our decisions coming from the best aspect for them. So Roger is the guy who's done it all. He's the guy who's been the Covart Special Operations Agent. He's the one who's danced in the opium fields. He's the one who's negotiated with those Eastern European officials. And I'm glad we're honoring him tonight. I want to thank him for his validation for the better, trusting our better sides of ourselves and natures, and also thank him for encouraging the hopes to be, for us to be better than we had planned for, and also most importantly thanking him for the laughter that he's brought into our lives during his work here.